Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at the latest news coming out surrounding Manchester United. And as always, there is news. There's not just as much news as normal. Let me just grab this. But yes, there's not just as much news as we would normally see at the minute. And that's, I think, potentially because, obviously, we don't have any games at the minute. There's that little patch now where we normally would be in the mix. I'm sure in the past we would have struggled to qualify in the Europa League, and we obviously would have had a game in the qualifiers. But we managed to stay in the top 8 in the group, finish third, which is great. So we have Rubin Amorim's hopefully had a chance to kind of get to grips with some of the players, and get them to understand the system a little bit better, and maybe put them through the paces a bit more, and obviously they get a little bit more rest because we've had roughly about 9 days between our last game and the Spurs game on the weekend. So looking at the news, one of the most sort of important things that happened yesterday was the FA Youth Cup team. The under-18s were playing the FA Youth Cup against a very good Chelsea side, and I watched most of the game. Didn't see all of it, but I've seen about 3/4 of it, and we dismantled Chelsea. If you look at it, and we'll win. I'll take a little brief my take on it. But the other bits of news that were coming out were at the game last night. Christopher Favell was there. Jason Wilcox were there, so they're obviously keeping a close eye on how the youth team are doing, which is great to see. There's news coming around again about Oshimen, whether he's the striker that Manchester United are going to go for. There's also some red flags being sort of raised about Ineos and their financial position at the minute. So that's I think that kind of relates back to the New Zealand sponsorship deal and them reneging to pay on it, which is really interesting. And then Dean Huijsen again, which I was talking about a couple of days ago, and other people are now picking up on it. That Manchester United are looking, or that there is the potential that he could be coming in for 50 million. It's 55 million now. It was 50 million a couple of days ago. These things kind of fluctuate depending on whoever's bringing the stories. But so we'll just kind of briefly go through all that. But we'll start with the Youth Cup team last night. And as I said, I've seen most of the game, and I've gone with kind of Obi Martin. Prestigious talent, absolutely. The kid is excellent. I talked about him before. I said, is Obi-Wan, is he our only hope? And is he ready to come into the team at the minute? Well, I watched him again last night, and the kid's brilliant. Gets into positions to score goals. He scores goals for fun. Got a hat-trick last night, and played very well. He's really strong. He has a lot of pace. He's not lightning quick, but he's quick. He's very strong. He's got a really good touch, and boy, does he know where the net is. He really, really does. And, again, he scored, I think it is 12 goals in 9 games in the under-18s. I believe that's his record at the minute, which is very, very impressive. So I think he's not just knocking on the door. I think he's kind of kicking the door at the minute to try and get into that first team. But the question comes back to, and as I said before in previous shows, do Manchester United want to bring him into a team that is so turgid at the minute and struggling, and have all that pressure being weighed on a 17-year-old, that, can he come in and can he do a job for us? Now, Sir Matt Busby always said, if you're old enough, you're good enough, and I get it. And I kind of believe that is the case. Wayne Rooney came through when he was 16 at Everton. He was unbelievable. Now, I don't think at the minute Obi Martin is in the same category as a Wayne Rooney. I don't think he's that good, but he is a talent. And it could be, who knows, potentially it could be even better than Rooney, but it's got to be sort of nurtured in the right way before we can kind of bring him into the squad. As I said, last night he played very well. He holds the ball up well, can turn, knows where the net is, does a lot of good things. But the one thing that's different in the youth team and the senior team is that Manchester United youth know how to create chances. They get service to the striker. Scanlon on the right was very, very good as well. He got 2 goals. The kid had a hat-trick. Actually, he had an awful miss. The ball came off the bar, and he had an open net, and he just couldn't get any purchase on it at all. So he could have had a hat-trick last night, and people would be kind of talking about him in the same kind of glowing terms. He's brilliant. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. Devaney in midfield, superb young player. Absolutely. He gets around that field as a 6. He's phenomenal. Goodwill Kakonke, who's been talked about a lot, he wasn't even on the pitch. He was on the bench. Shea Lacey was on the bench, who's just kind of made his return to the under 18s after being out for injury. Another precocious talent. So, and these are only the ones, Victor Musa, who was on the bench, another excellent, I think, I could be wrong. Musa is definitely second name. I think it's Victor Musa. He's another excellent player. And then there was the kid who played right back. I can't think of his name. Superb, as getting up and down the wing. And then there's Amas at left back, who defensively looks a little bit shaky, but going forward, very, very good. He would have really benefited from a loan, but unfortunately we couldn't get him one. I don't know why they couldn't maybe find the right kind of play, the right team for him to go and slot into. But I actually think that the youth team were unbelievable. They beat Chelsea 5-1. They played great football. They went one down. Their heads didn't shake at all. They didn't let it affect them. They just got up. They pressed with intensity, which is what Rubin Amorim wants his senior team to do. They pressed with unbelievable intensity last night, and they just squashed the living daylights out of Chelsea and then just put them to the sword. And I think that if there is a way to kind of mature these young players and get them into the senior team as we go along over the next couple of years, that could be, there is an unbelievable talent there. If you like Jack Fletcher and Tyler Fletcher, Darren Fletcher's sons, both very, very good talents. There's an abundance of talent there in that youth team, and we can nurture them and bring them through. They're not all come through, but we could get maybe, I don't know, the class of 92 would be amazing. We could get 5 or 6 through. That would be unprecedented once again after all those years, but we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so as I said last night, so Christopher, obviously Jason Wilcox, Darren Fletcher are also there. So it's great to see that they're taking a big interest in the youth team, and hopefully these guys are going to be our shining light going forward. And I think at the minute Obi Martin is probably the kind of the cream of the crop. It kind of reminds me of like back in the early 90s when Ryan Giggs was coming through with Beckham, Scholes, and the Nevilles and Butt, and when all those players were coming through, Giggs was kind of that breakaway. He broke into the team first, and then the rest followed. And I'm just wondering, is Obi Martin going to be the same player who breaks in first because he's ready, or he's probably he's as ready as he can be at his age, but maybe not to start games because the pressure will be too much. But to be in and around and maybe nick a few minutes here and there just to get a feel for it, like Ryan Giggs did, and then potentially a breakthrough season next season, and then the other young kids to kind of follow suit after that if they're gonna break it in. So definitely ones to keep a watch on. But just moving away from the youngsters, and now we're back to Graham Bailey's talking about Manchester United are interested in Victor Osimhen and the possibility of a player exchange. Napoli appreciate several Manchester United players, including Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. Now the thing about this is player exchange don't usually work. Manchester United have had this in the past with Sancho and Mkhitaryan, and yeah, it worked in terms of they both switched club, but unfortunately Mkhitaryan it was good for us. I think he struggled at times, but Sanchez came in, it was an absolute disaster. It never worked at all. So those types of deals are really difficult to do, and I actually don't think it suits Manchester United from a PSR point of view. I actually don't think financially, if we were to do a swap deal with Osimhen, we don't bring any money into the club, because in Garnacho's case he's pure profit. Højlund's maybe Højlund's a slightly different deal to do, but we paid a lot of money for Højlund, and I could imagine that if we did a swap deal we'd probably still have to pay something on top of Højlund going. So and bringing Osimhen the other way, and I just can't see Manchester United doing either of this. Graham Bailey is a bit of hit and miss when it comes to Manchester United. Gets some things right, gets some things wrong. I just don't know whether he is going to be. I don't know. I can't see either of these. If I'm being honest, I can't see either of these deals happening. Maybe Osimhen might be the striker, but I just can't foresee it being a swap deal. At the minute, I'd be very, very surprised if that was the case. And talking about money, the Graham. Sorry, that's the wrong one. There was. So, well, I'll tell you what. I don't actually have the red flag with Ineos, do I? No, I don't. So, sorry. I will carry on with. Manchester United are eyeing up a summer move for the Bournemouth centre back Dean Huijsen for 55 million. Now, as I said before, I have talked about Huijsen recently. I think he's a very good centre half. He's 19 again, and as I said, we are dealing with a lot of kids. here, 19 here, Kwanda 17. And yeah, they all have experience, but they don't have experience of playing at Manchester United or a big club or under the pressure of that jersey or in that stadium with the way things are at the minute. So we're asking a lot mentally of these kids to come in and start swimming straight away, because if they don't, they'll sink like a stone. As I've talked before, Rubin's been given an anchor and been thrown off the side of the boat and told to swim up. And I think a few of these kids could end up being thrown an anchor too, and also, drowning, if not managed in the right way. So I think we've got to be very, very careful about it. There was another little story about sort of the creditors looking at Ineos and there being red flags currently being kind of waved at the minute in a metaphorical way. But I think that there's issues with Ineos, the New Zealand deal, the selling of their businesses, their sanitizer business, which I think if I get time, I'll go into it. I'll delve into that a little bit deeper, because it seems really interesting. And then there's obviously a lot of talk at the minute about Manchester United. We're going to go bankrupt if they didn't get the investment for Sir Jim, which just is unfathomable. It's just, I cannot wrap my head around how the club can be allowed to get into this state of disrepair. And this all comes down to the Glazers, who absolutely, in my opinion, deserve to get booted out of this club. We need to get rid of them. Absolutely shocking what they've done to us, to the stadium, to the club, to the team, to the entire situation of Manchester United. They've destroyed us, and we need to find a way to get them out. Full sale. I'm not saying it's Qatar. I was just saying full sale. We need to clear the debt somehow, because we're just selling players to service the debt, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, guys, that is all the news that we have for you at the minute. Thanks very much for joining me. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. Hopefully I'm getting a little bit better at this. I have a long way to go, I know that, but thank you for sticking with me. I really, really appreciate it. Mark, really, really appreciate the comments too. Please, guys, get your comments in today and let me know what your thoughts are on all the situations that are currently ongoing at United. Love to hear from you. And is Chido Obi Martin, is he the one? Is he the one for us to come and save us, or do you think he needs a bit of guidance and maybe a little bit more time in the under 18s and the under 21s before we bring him through? Get your thoughts in. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.